Toilet gate. I totally messed that up. Toilet gate may sound like a joke.
Toilet joke is something completely.
Toilet joke is different. This is not a joke. But the allegations, they're really no laughing matter here. In her new book, Maggie Haberman of the New York Times confirms a habit of the former president that wasn't just unhealthy for the White House plumbing, it was bad for the presidency as well. And she's got the photos to prove it. They're kind of gross, but also very important, Maggie. So tell us what we are looking at here.
What you're looking at is two photos, one from the White House, which is what the one that looks like it has carpet on the bottom. The other is from an overseas trip that a Trump White House source provided me recently after some of the revelations during the January 6th hearing. This person, like a number of staffers I spoke with, while some of the testimony that has been heard has been disputed, generally found the overall picture of Trump to be pretty familiar with what they'd experienced, and they wanted to share them. Now, again, as you say, people are going to make all kinds of jokes about toilets and so forth. It would still be a story if it was a fireplace. And the point is about the destruction of records, which are supposed to be preserved under the Presidential Records Act, which is a Watergate era creation.
New York Times' Maggie Haberman is writing a book here, and she's pointing out at least this preview of some more of the proof surrounding the whole thing with flushing documents down the toilet. I think she explained it pretty well, the severity of it. But in case you forgot, remember back when Donald Trump was complaining about toilets? This is something that once we discovered these things were happening, but without the proof now that we've seen, when Donald Trump couldn't stop talking about toilets being clogged. Remember this? Watch.
We have a situation where we're looking very strongly at sinks and showers and other elements of bathrooms where you turn the faucet on in areas where there's tremendous amounts of water, where the water rushes out to sea because you could never handle it, and you don't get any water. You turn on the faucet, you don't get any water. They take a shower and water comes dripping out, just dripping out, very quietly dripping out. People are flushing toilets 10 times, 15 times, as opposed to once. They end up using more water.
When he says people, he means himself. Let's look at the pictures again, as Bill Kristol retweeted out, because that's going everywhere. I want to look at the details of what, I'm not sure if Haberman pointed this out in the interview, but the toilet on the right, which apparently was a second when he was flushing things down, there's a name Rogers on it, and they did point out that this is Donald Trump's handwriting. And I believe at least Stefanik, it's a little bit getting folded there in the shards of paper that he flushed down the toilet there. I would love to know what he wrote about Elise Stefanik. My next best lemming, the best minion I've got, up and coming hateful person, any of those types of things. Latest fake person that's made sure that they're trying to position themselves for power. Whatever it is he decided to write, he's flushed it down the toilet. Now again, people may say whatever, it's his notes, he can flush things down the toilet. But as Haberman also pointed out as well there, it's against the rules when it comes to certain things and documents as president for you to try to destroy and get rid of. Let's look at more, because alongside tales of the president clogging White House toilets with paperwork, previous reports have included stories that Trump would habitually tear up paperwork after meetings, leaving the fragments for aides to tape back together so they could be sent to the National Archives as mandated by the Presidential Records Act. This is not something new. Now again, Haberman, who's writing this book, obtained those photos recently and shared them with these folks over in Axios ahead of the October 4th publication of her book, Confidence Man, The Making of Donald Trump and the Breaking of America. So as you point out, the one on the left is from the White House and one on the right is from an overseas trip. He's just flushing down any toilet that he can. So this provides more of that proof, as people still maybe didn't believe that he was flushing documents down the toilet, or they thought it was just one of those fun, we're gonna talk about toilet humor instead of talking about how he's destroying records and what records he was looking to destroy and why. The constant corrupt, illegal, covert activities that Donald Trump was involved in when he was president, I feel we're only beginning to scratch the surface, specifically with the January 6th stuff, which, as we're seeing, the response from folks who support him is who cares? It's la la la, la 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 la. So I guess they'll continue on this way too. What reason would he have for flushing documents down the toilet? If Hunter Biden flushed documents down the toilet in his own private residence with no position of power, would you be all over that? They keep talking about a laptop. Would they talk about him ripping up documents, presidential documents, and flush them down the toilet and us seeing proof there? I'm waiting for Lone Berber to talk about that next.